Okay, we're calling our meeting to order. I think all of you have waited long enough. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. In the past couple of weeks, I'm very sorry to share the news that our public school district has lost two precious children who have passed away. We will take a moment right now, a moment of silence in honor of those two children. Okay. We will go on to with a couple of presentations tonight. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Malash. Oh, I'm sorry. We're a little out of order. I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mrs. Sugars, could you please take the roll call?
Mrs. Stratton,
Here.
Mrs. Fleischer,
Here.
Mrs. Gallagher,
Here.
Mr. Greenbaum,
Here.
Mr. Mayor,
Here.
Dr. Rude,
Here.
Mrs. Tong,
Here.
Mrs. Winters,
Here.
Ms. Stern.
Here. Okay, now let's try this again. Dr. Malash, if you could please introduce us to the presentations tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Stern. And thank you for providing the opportunity to have little previews from some of our incredibly talented thespians from High School East and High School West. So to start, we're going to begin with Into the Woods, which is the production this year at High School East. And Mrs. Wilson, did we say we have somebody's going to come up and give us a little set the scene? So if one of our talented thespians from High School East would come up to the microphone at the podium, just give us a little picture, an idea of where we are. And then we're going to have a little introduction to Into the Woods, which opens this weekend.
Hi guys, my name is Jake Gilman,
And I'm Maggie Pierlot.
and we are both performers for Into the Woods at Cherry Hill High School East. And our performances are this weekend and next weekend, March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 10th, 11th, and 12th. We're both in the red cast, and you can get tickets at showtixforyou.com and search up Cherry Hill East. And today, both of us will be performing for you our solos. I play Jack, and she plays Little Red.
Thank you.
And now Ms. Stern from High School West. We have students, some other very talented high school thespians from Cherry Hill High School West. This year, they are presenting Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief. So we're going to get a little introduction to that and then hear the preview. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. We are from Cherry Hill West. As you said, we are doing Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief. Our shows are in 2 weeks. It is the 16th, the 17th, and the 18th. And then the next week is the 24th and the 25th. My name is Jill Saperstein. I play Annabeth Chase in the Zeus cast.
Hi, I'm Alex Santos. I play Percy Jackson in the Zeus cast.
Hi, I'm Nyana Lewis. I play Grover in the Poseidon cast.
Hi, I'm Finn Hutchinson, and I play Percy in the Poseidon cast.
And we will be presenting a song called Lost. It opens up Act 2 for our characters. All right, thank you.
Okay, so all of you are incredibly courageous because it takes a lot to get up here and do what you just did. And especially several days, couple weeks before you're going on to perform. So thank you so much to Maggie and Adam. I hope I got everybody's names right. Jill, Alex, Leanna and Finn. Fantastic. Just so excited to come see your shows. We have been excited to welcome back these preview performances. We are long overdue for doing so. So thank you for being our first, and happy that we're going to have a chance to have more going forward. So good luck, break a leg, and looking forward to seeing this. Hopefully many of us I know are planning to come see. So thank you. Okay, and with that, we move on to the boring business of the Board of Education meetings. And, oh, wait, first, we have more board recognition. This is such a good night for this stuff. We do have exciting board recognition, and I will turn this back over to Dr. Malash.
Thank you, Ms. Stern. So this evening, February 28th, as we celebrate the last day of Black History Month, which is a month when we take to highlight all the incredible pieces of Black history that makes up our history, our American history. Now, we celebrate it throughout the course of the year because Black history is our history. We take this special month to celebrate, and we have some special activities. One of the most important activities that we do each month is where we are partnered with the Cherry Hill African American Civic Association, their leadership and their members, and especially Miss Kathleen Jenkins, who each year runs this incredible contest, essay, poster, and video contest that's open to our children kindergarten through the 12th grade. So if I could ask Miss Jenkins and Mrs. Wilson to head up to the podium. There are many children that we're going to be recognizing this evening. With Miss Jenkins, she'll introduce Miss Laverne Mann, who is our incredible director of the Cherry Hill Library. Cherry Hill Library has also been partnering the African American Civic Association for a number of years in the pursuit of this contest. So Ms. Jenkins, if you'd tell us a little bit about it, and then we will have a chance to honor the children.
Thank you. This year's topic was African American inventors and innovators. We had 13 schools represented. We had over 110 entries. We had 4 videos that were awesome and about 90 posters and the other essays. We also had Horace Mann School, and shout out to their principal, but 4 teachers did this as class projects, Ms. Hayes, Murray, Stable, and Monahan. And so we just want to thank them for using this as a whole class teaching tool. All right, so.
Right, I will read the names of our winners now. We have by grade level categories, so we will start with kindergarten first grade. In first place, we have Chloe Anderson. All right, in our second and third grade category, in third place, we have Lindsay Langman. All right, second and third grade, second place winner is Chase Williams. And our second and third grade level first place winner could not be here for this part of the event, but Amira Austin won first place in the third level. Next category is fourth and fifth grade level. We have third place Andrew Langman. And in our fourth and fifth grade category, we have a tie for second place. We have Lydia Na and Julia Robertson. And our fourth and fifth grade first place winner is Eliato Huang. Elliot, sorry. All right, sixth and seventh grade, our third place winner is Claire Lee. And sixth and seventh, second place winner is Catherine Gao. And our first place winner in this category also could not be here, Xavier Austin. And moving to the eighth and ninth grade category, third place goes to Wolfgang Drake. Eighth and ninth grade second place goes to Allison Kang. And our first place winner in this category, who could not be here, is Valerie Herman. And our 10th and 11th grade, third place winner was Priya Tyagi, could not be here. Our second place winner, 10th and 11th grade, is Grace Yoon. And I believe taking Alex Kang's award is Allison. Alexander won first place in this category. And our final category in the 12th grade level, second place, who could not be here, was Diane Sosa. And our first place winner was Nathaniel Burketab. Excuse me.
CHEA wanted to give a college kit to our first place 12th grade winner, and this is your college kit to start you off. Yes, right.
Well, congratulations. Thank you to all the students who participated. Thank you to the Cherry Hill African American Civic Association and the library, CHEA. What a great night, great effort. Okay, so we're going to move on to our one more. We have an administrative report. We'll turn that over to Mrs. Sugars, who has a budget update for us.
It's going to certainly be a lot less exciting than what we just saw, but no one wants to hear me sing, Mr. Mayor. So we're still waiting for some information concerning the budget. As we know, the governor gave his budget address today. And so we anticipate that we will receive our state aid numbers within the next 2 days. Hopefully by Thursday afternoon, we'll have some additional information. However, we just sort of wanted to give an update since the next time that the board meets, which will be March 14th, we'll be actually approving our initial submission budget. So we spoke about tax levy the last time we gave a budget update, gave some history of where we stand with tax levy. If we look at the 23-24 school year and we look at increasing the tax levy to the full 2% cap, it would be a $3,712,000 increase in taxes. And the tax impact on that would be $104.98 on the average assessed home. The average assessed home is $227,000 this year. What we don't have in this calculation is the impact of the bond referendum. Once we know what our debt service aid is going to be, we'll be able to add that impact in. That is not part of our budget approval process because the bond referendum has already been approved by the voters. However, we do factor that in when we are determining the tax impact of the budget. So we know that in 23-24, we will be paying over $11 million in principal and over $11 million in interest. So we'll have a $22 million payment that has to be made out of the debt service fund, but we don't know what that tax impact looks like just yet. Hopefully after we get our numbers on Thursday, we'll have a better idea of what that looks like. So as you can see in the 21-22 school year and the 22-23 school year, we did not go to the full 2% tax cap. And therefore, we have some banked cap available as well. We'll talk about that in a moment. But this is what tax impact would look like on the general fund if we went to the full 2%. We also talked about state aid. Right now, as we are making assumptions in the budget, we are assuming that our state aid will remain flat, meaning that we will have the same state aid in the 23-24 school year as we had in the 22-23 school year. You can see here since 2018-19, we've had some significant increases in our state aid. We're not anticipating significant increases moving forward. And for our budgeting purposes at this point, until we can confirm the numbers, we are assuming that we will receive the same amount for next budget year as we did in this budget year. So our assumptions right now, as I mentioned, same state aid as in 22-23, same local revenues as in 22-23. That local revenues for us is tuition that we receive from other districts. It's miscellaneous revenues, interest earnings, rentals of our buildings, things of that nature. So we're assuming other than tax levy, flat state aid, flat local revenues in the 23-24 budget. Increase in the tax levy of the full 2%, which again is the $3.7 million. Also an increase in the use of fund balance. We currently, during the pandemic, the legislature changed the law so that we could go from a 2% fund balance to a 4% fund balance, which basically means that we calculate fund balance based on the prior year's expenditures. 2% fund balance for a district this size is a very low number. 4% was much more comfortable for a district of this size. However, we don't believe we're going to be able to maintain that level of fund balance moving forward. So increasing the use of fund balance in the budget would be required anyway. So we're going to have a significant increase in that number. Making these assumptions at this point based on the estimated expenditures, this will provide us with a status quo budget. So there would be no new programs or personnel in this budget. It would maintain what we currently have. And there's also no funding included in this budget for preschool. So right now, as I said, our numbers are still very estimated. However, just to kind of get a feel for where things are going, right now we are estimating increase in salaries, 3.8 million, an increase in benefits, 3.8 million. Other, which is anything that's other than salaries and benefits, we have a decrease there of 3.1 million. That is primarily in the capital projects account, our capital outlay account, because with all of the work going on with the bond referendum, we don't anticipate spending funds in the capital outlay to the level that we have over the past couple of years. And at this point, we have not determined if there will be a contribution from the capital reserve account. Last year, we did projects totaling up to 4.1 million. We have not determined at this point if we will be using capital reserve for projects or not. We'll talk about that in a moment. So although the budget looks like it's only increasing by $392,000, if you kind of break down those categories, you can see where the increases are coming from and why. So we talked briefly about banked cap. Banked cap is not a pot of money. It is taxing authority. It's a 3-year rolling cycle. So we either use it or it expires. And again, because we didn't go to the full 2% in 21-22 or 22-23, we have banked cap available that will expire in 24-25 and 25-26, should we choose to take advantage of that. So we look at our timeline. We're here at the update tonight on the 28th. We will talk more on the 7th. I'm sure we'll be providing updates to the board as we move forward, particularly after Thursday. On March 14th, we will have our initial submission budget that needs to be approved. Once that budget is approved and submitted to the county office, it goes into review with the county office. They then approve it or ask for modifications. And then the board can hold their hearing on April 25th, where the final budget is approved. And from there, we can move forward with, planning and looking at how we're going to roll out the budget for the next year. So when we talked on the 28th or the 25th, our last budget update, we were working through these steps here. At this point, we're at determining what the state aid numbers will be. The governor's address was today. We expect state aid numbers on Thursday. Finalize the tax levy, finalize any additional personnel or program recommendations. We also need to talk about ROD grants. There's $350 million right now available in ROD grants. As a district, we're taking a look at things that were cut out of the bond referendum in order to get to borrowing capacity. So we're looking at those as options for a ROD grant application. ROD grant would provide 40% of the funding for the district. The district would still have to come up with 60% of the funding for a project. Not allowed to use bond referendum funds, must use capital reserve funds or budget funds for these projects. So somewhat limited in what we can do because of that. But we're taking a look, talking to our architect about what makes sense moving forward. So we'll be kind of finalizing some of those details as we move forward. We also have a meeting with our health benefits provider on March 8th, which is later than I'd like, but we'll finalize our health benefit numbers at that point. And then we will approve our initial submission budget on March 14th. So that is where we are in the process right now. I wish, I had more information for you at this point, but we're still waiting for some fairly large pieces of the puzzle. But hopefully by the end of the week, we should have a better idea of what direction that we're going in. Can I answer any questions? Mrs. Stratton.
Thank you, Ms. Sugars. Do you know if the health benefits meeting, will that make you have to resharpen pencils drastically if do we anticipate it to be flat from last year?
I don't anticipate it will be flat based on our medical loss runs. We've been running very high. I have had some preliminary conversations with our broker. They have given me some estimates on what they think it's going to be. And until we officially meet with our provider, we won't know for sure.
Okay.
But they're aware of our timeline. I told them that we need to finalize this quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Gallagher.
Can you explain the fund balance again?
So
Please.
fund balance is when we close out our books at the end of the year, we close out what we brought in and what we spent, and we close those two piles together, and it's what we have left over. So if you think about your personal budget, you have a certain amount of income, a certain amount of expenses, you have funding left over at the end of the year. As a district, we're allowed to maintain a certain amount. It was 2%. It's for the past couple of years, it has been 4%, and that's based on your prior year expenditures. We are not anticipating that we'll be able to maintain the 4% level after this year. And so we'll be using some additional fund balance. I would like to put that into capital reserve, but if it helps us balance the budget this year, we'll use it towards that. Yes.
Mrs. Sugar, so I know you referenced the ROD grant, possibly depending on, I know there's a lot of unknowns with it, but it's coming soon, right? The application process.
So the application process is open from March 1st, I believe, until the end of May.
Yeah. So I know we're kind of decisions have to be made and there's a lot in flux, but you mentioned possibly putting it towards projects that were removed from the original bond, but I know there's also discussions about other ways to possibly apply it, especially with another topic that's very in flux, but interesting is the preschool expansion discussion. So, I think that's probably also on the table, right? As part of a consideration.
Yeah, as we look at the prioritized lists that the state released in terms of where they would prioritize the funding to go, out of that particular pot of money, the preschool expansion is at the bottom of the list. I know there's another pot of money that was just announced, which we don't have any direction yet on how to access it, how to apply for it, what that's going to look like. So we're waiting to see what that looks like. Again, because we have to provide the 60% out of our local funds, we're somewhat limited, I think, in the size and scope of something that we could do. So there would have to be a lot of discussions about what does that look like, what makes sense, what is the future of that program, that we would have to talk about in order to apply for that.
Thank you. And I think, I know we've had some other discussions even as recently as this week about, when we have an experience of applying for money and then maybe not being awarded a grant, we learn from that experience and we try to, when that grant becomes available again, we try to then make sure that what we're applying for really is more likely to be successful in receiving the grant. And I think, it sounds like that logic, that approach is being applied here as well. So while it may not be what our greatest kind of aspiration is for a ROD grant, if we're more likely to be awarded the money, knowing that's money that every school district has a potential to apply to, it sounds like it's very important kind of to continue on the path of doing what we can to be successful with obtaining the state aid, which means that, every dollar from state aid that we can be successful in being awarded is less, hopefully, out of the pockets of our community members. So
Absolutely.
that's very important that we continue on that path. And it sounds like we're doing a lot of that. So that's
Yes.
great. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we move on to board member correspondence. We have every week, we have a running list of activities we're invited to and we attend. So I want to open it up to board members who'd like to share activities that you participated or attended. And we'll go start at the end. Mr. Greenbaum.
Thank you. Last week, I joined Dr. Malash for an artist reception for students at Stockton Elementary. I love seeing the kids' creativity and seeing their eyes light up when they spoke about their artwork. It was very nice getting to meet some of the parents as well. It was a really great experience, and I hope to be able to do this again in the future. Thank you.
Great. And we'll go right in next to Mrs. Winters.
Thank you. So I am continuing my quest to make it to all 19 schools in the district. So I am proud to say that I got to read at not one, not two, but 3 elementary schools. I was at Forest Man Elementary School for the African-American read-in. I got to read to 2 third grades and a K-1-2 special needs class. Then I was at Russell Knight and I got to read to a 1st grade and a kindergarten for African-American read-in there. And then today I was at Stockton for Read Across America. So I am checking off all those boxes. I hope to get to every single school sooner rather than later. I also was at Cherry Hill West last night for the Black History Month project that was put together by Dr. Morton and members of the Cherry Hill African American Civic Association. It was really a wonderful eye-opening event with some great films that were presented and a speaker that I found very engaging. And yeah, and I mean, I'm also, of course, attending stuff as a parent. I got to go to the Rosa Jazz Showcase, and I'd be remiss if I did point that out because that has the jazz bands from all 3 middle schools and both high schools, which is always a super fun night. So a lot going on in the district. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Dr. Rude, you're next.
So I have a couple of events that I was able to attend. This is one of those cases where I've talked at the table about joy in the district and, seeing kids do things that really light up their day, light up their life. First, last week ago, Friday, I was able to attend the Cherry Hill West Junior Air Force ROTC military ball. That was such an elegant event. Everybody dressed to the nines in their best, either uniforms or ball gowns. It was pretty remarkable to see the formality, the kind of pomp and circumstance. It was a beautiful night. Students were well spoken. There was a brief speech from one of New Jersey's National Guard air reservists. It was pretty incredible. The theme of the famous grog was a beach party with the bowl was centered in a flamingo floaty. I only saw one person gag, so that was good. My thanks to Chief Master Sergeant Daniel Boucher and Colonel Mario Tomasi for their their cordiality. They were just really friendly, included me right away and kind of explaining everything to me. Wonderful event, and the kids definitely were filled with joy. Second thing, I was at the National History Day competition at Rutgers Camden. I was there largely as a parent, but it was great to see a very large contingent from Rosa Middle School, 65 kids under the direction of Mrs. Murillo. And these kids put together some amazing presentations on significant figures throughout our history. So it's wonderful to see again the joy in the kids. Every time a Rosa group won, there was just this bouncing around with joy. Really pretty amazing. Mrs. Winters is shaking her head next to me in agreement, as she was there as well. So those were both great events, and show some of the kind of awesome things that our kids are doing to achieve their best in Cherry Hill. Thanks.
Okay, great. I'll now turn this way and I see Mrs. Gallagher will go to the end of the table that way.
No. So similarly, I got to go to the 3 read-ins. So I went to Mann's African American read-in, where I got to read to a kindergarten class and a 4th grade class. And then maybe it was 5th, I forget, sorry. And then I went to night on Monday where I read to a 3rd grade class. And then today I went to Stockton for Read Across America and I read to a 2nd grade class. And then last Friday, my husband and I went to Broadway Nights at West. It was a really nice night. The students they always blow me away. They're so talented. And they did various songs from about 5 different Broadway shows. It was a really nice night. And, they always put on a really nice show. So as we saw the students here tonight, if you want to go out and support, our high school students, they always put on a good show. Thanks.
Thank you. And we'll go on to Mrs. Fleischers next.
Thank you so much. I had a few things that I did actually a little bit different. One of the things that I was really happy to get to experience this past 2 weeks ago, I think or maybe it was even last week. I'm going to be the Board of Ed rep on our labor collaborative. And the labor collaborative is between the labor or the teachers union, CHEA, and our administration. And they invited one board member to come on to become part of this collaboration. And the collaboration is really it originally formed so that there's a better trust and more communication open between teachers, staff, and administration. And they actually, which I know everybody here would love because everyone here loves data. They had some great data on how this affects the schools. And I ran off one of their little infographics for everybody. Just so you can pass it down for each of the board members. So just quickly, and I appreciate the fact of being invited on, and I'm looking forward. We had a full day meeting, was my first time meeting with them, but it actually affects student achievement when there's more of a collaboration between the administration and the labor or the teachers and the staff. And this was a national study where they had over 400 schools. When they had the collaboration, it increased student achievement by 12.5% for English and 4.5% for math. So they saw it across the board, as well as teacher retention, you can see, and also collaboration, and just the whole climate of the schools tend to become more cohesive, and it's a really wonderful way to have our schools really talk to each other and talk to the administration. And we'll be working on different projects. And I appreciate sitting on this with some of the administration and the teachers and the CHEA and Steve Redfern and some of his vice presidents and people from each of the levels of the different schools. So I'll be reporting on this from time to time when we're having meetings, but I thought everyone would like to see sort of the data that's behind this, which makes it so intriguing. The second thing that I did was I attended virtually our Camden County and Gloucester County county PTA meeting. I'm sorry, PTA meeting. Oh my gosh, that's another life of mine. Sorry, school board association. Wow, that was a throwback. So we had a wonderful speaker. It was virtual, which they're doing in the winter. But really, what I actually wanted to focus on tonight is they had a Senate Education Committee update because they like to keep us updated. And just because I think it's very timely, something that the Senate Education Committee is really working on is about mental health and wellness. And I just wanted to, and because I happen to be also the policy and legislation chair, I just wanted to name a few things that I thought was really interesting that is in the works. It's not necessarily that they'll be passed, but these are ones that are being brought up and discussed that are requiring school districts to provide instruction on grief as part of the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, which I thought was interesting. Require school districts to permit 5 excused absences for mental or behavioral health reasons. Permit school districts to define excuses from school to include illnesses based on still mental health and behaviors. I just thought it was interesting in this time of need that the state actually is looking at different ways to support our kids and our districts. So I'll keep you updated in any ways about that. And lastly, it sort of hooks around the opioid crisis that affected the United States. I'm sure everyone knew how we had the opioid settlement and that each of the towns in New Jersey are getting money. So I was approached by another teacher and some people in our township, and they're getting money, and we'll give you more information later, but they're going to be getting money that we're going to use as a township to really, hopefully, they're able to use some of this money for mental wellness and health, as well as drug prevention. So hopefully we'll, get a lot of stakeholders involved and have some wonderful programs and hopefully impactful programs that can come out of this money that that our town of Cherry Hill is getting. So that is it. Thank you.
That's great news to hear. Sorry for the reason that there's money coming our way, the township's way and the district's way, but I'm glad that we can put it to good use, which is the whole intent. Okay, so Ms. Elmore Stratton, I think you're next in the line.
Sure, thank you. So I was also able to attend the Black History movie event. Was that yesterday? Days are running together and it's only Tuesday. That was yesterday. So just wanted to say great job to Dr. Morton and Mrs. Staffen. They did some hard work in connecting with the folks in Maryland to make sure those movies ran smoothly. And it was really nice to have a former Cherry Hill East, also past WNBA player, be present to speak with everyone there, Valerie Still. And it was just exciting to be around some folks that you hear in the town all the time. You hear their names for what they've done, but to come back and give back. So I really appreciate having her be a part of it last night, as well as Cherry Hill African American Civic Association. Anytime I go to something like that, it's just me hanging with my aunties, but it's really great to see us continuing the partnership efforts with the school. One other thing I wanted to mention, I know that we were all invited to next week's Carusi Middle School band. And I just have to share a really sweet message I got back from letting Mr. Barkley know I couldn't make it next week. However, he sent me a great YouTube video of Carusi Middle School Jazz Band. So, and they are really good. So if you're able to do that, I encourage anybody from the board to sign up because they were pretty good. But that made me smile. Thank you so much, Mr. Barkley. And then for Camden County Education Service Commission, we'll be meeting tomorrow, Mrs. Stern.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Elmore Stratton. I don't know if Mrs. Tong, if there's anything, or if we move on to, okay, all right, Mr. Mayor, I think you may have some correspondence as well.
Indeed, I do. So I spent the day starting last night and all day today in Atlantic City as one of the judges for the New Jersey State DECA competition. Just generally great to see so many kids throughout the state, so impressive in their ability to make presentations and communicate, and it's clearly on the right path. They're all going to be tremendously successful. But I was obviously, more invested and interested in how well our Cherry Hill kids are doing. There were a number of students from both Cherry Hill East and Cherry Hill West competing today at states. I wasn't able to judge any of them for good reason, but I do know that several from both schools made it through to the finals, are competing tonight in the finals, and my understanding is that they will learn tomorrow morning. If any of them, and I'm sure some will, are going through to the international competition in Orlando, and I think that's in April. So it means we should all be proud, and the teachers in particular, and the advisors at both East and West, of how well they've done to prepare these kids, and just also to have them interested to be involved and to do something over and above what is just expected of them as students. So that it was great to see. I also learned how much high school kids enjoy Bobby Flay burgers. The line was so long that I had to leave the hotel, drive to Brigantine, and get takeout food to bring back and eat. But it was a really great event. Really well represented. Cherry Hill did wonderfully, and hopefully when we meet next, we'll have some great news as to just how far some of the Cherry Hill kids are going to go. Also had an opportunity to sit in again last week at the CP's exec committee meeting. I don't want to steal CP's thunder. I know Mrs. Wethington is preparing to have a community opportunity. So the community is going to learn more about what's going on, and an opportunity also to provide some input and ask questions on how we as a community can better support the needs of those communities. But each meeting that I attend, I am impressed again at the passion and care that everyone in that committee and everyone in that group really brings to those meetings, how much they care about the students and the staff, and attempting to support them in their needs throughout the district. It's I say I'm impressed every time because I am. It never gets old, and their passion never wanes. That's great to see. And just lastly, I was also able, along with a couple of others, to attend the winter meeting of the Camden Gloucester SBA winter meeting. The featured speaker was Dr. Walter Greason. Just briefly, it was wonderful to hear him talk about how New Jersey in particular, and New Jersey education, has always been at the forefront with regards to promoting civil rights and education with regards to that, and pushing back against forces that don't look as kindly upon that. So it was good to hear more of the historical background and where he's coming from, and also an opportunity for him to talk about some new work that he's doing, I think that will be effective and helpful for all of us, and learning how to address concerns, not just community concerns and district and student concerns, but how to work through conflict more productively and move towards solutions that work better for our students, for our staff, and for our community. So I'm looking forward to that. The book isn't out yet. He's working on a second book that'll be published in the next couple of months. So it was a great meeting. It was wonderful to see it so well attended, not just by some of the members of our board, but by so many other boards throughout Camden and Gloucester counties. So.
Thank you. So I'm gonna maybe try to go back date order. So last Friday night, I got a chance to just pop in for a few minutes to the I guess it's the regional championships, the regional South Jersey Regional Championship for it was boys wrestling. I haven't seen a boys wrestling match in about, I don't know, a century, I think I would say, since I was in high school. And it was a packed gym. It was pretty cool to see. I just stayed a few minutes just to pop in, but it was pretty neat to see, Cherry Hill representing there. And I know the girls also did well in their regional championship, but that was up in Phillipsburg. So I didn't make it unfortunately to there. So the other activities I got to attend this week were, I also joined Ms. Elmore Stratton and Mrs. Winters at last night at the Black History Month movie or presentations by Cherry Hill African American Civic Association and the schools. I only got to stay for the film on Harriet Tubman. And I, again, kind of was trying to Google search in my brain, my knowledge of her. I did not remember learning that she had been struck by a rock and suffered a significant head injury in her early, I think it was her early adulthood or late teens, and went through her life having seizures and headaches and vision issues. And despite that, lived into I think it was her 90s or 80s. I apologize, don't remember exactly the age, but the things that she was able to accomplish despite that, the significant impact she had on, changing the lives of people who were enslaved in this country. It's kind of shocking to go back and really go in depth. It was a really powerful movie. And the speaker as well. It was just a great night. So I was grateful to be there. Today I got a chance to join some of my other board colleagues to read at the Read Across America at Stockton, which was where my kids went to school. So it was cool to be back there, see some of the teachers, and share stories about how their kids are doing, how my kids are doing. But more importantly, to get to read. So I got a certificate, which I'm always grateful for. I got to read to one of the special ed classes. It was very small, just a few kids. They were delightful. I read 2 Mo Willems books. They wanted more. That's the best I could do. That's all the time we had. They were so fun, and they wanted hugs at the end. It's just, again, I said it last time, I have teenagers. Kids who want to get a hug, it's a special experience. So it was a really lovely experience out of my day. I was really grateful to be able to be part of that. And then yesterday I got a chance to be in the meeting, the monthly, usually going to be monthly bond update meeting. So there's a lot just I want to share about that. And this is a meeting with kind of all the main folks who are involved at the district, and our vendors, on all the bond projects. So it was kind of a comprehensive list. So we have now gone out for our first set of 4 roofing bids. So this is roofing work that will be done this summer on East, Cooper, Knight, and Sharp. I'm thrilled to say that the group of bids came in $200,000 under budget. So, either the estimates were just trying to be really, really conservative, or they just really did a good job. But, that's in the beginning of our project to start out that way feels very good to me. We also got estimates, and their work is a plan for the Rosa flooring. And that also came in under budget. And lockers for Rosa. There was discussion of the East Stadium projects. That's going to be a heavy lift. We're still waiting on the timing of that, so kind of stay tuned for more information on that. There was a lot of discussion about that, by the way, regarding the lights. The township has ordinances about lights. There are homes around. I'm looking over to people on this side of the room. I think some people know about the homes that are butt up against the back of East. We might have people who sit in this table who live near there. So, you have to be mindful of the lights. Lot of due diligence being done to make sure that all the ordinances are followed, and also that we're, mindful of the impact to the community, to the neighbors. The long discussion about the summer projects, some of which are being the projects out of capital reserve, which will this summer, which are the Malberg Playgrounds, one of them. But since we had the same people involved in that work as involved in the other construction work, we touched on that. And a lot of site work, the site work that's being done for Stockton and Lewis paving And also the Payne and Bret Hart playgrounds, which are going to be the next group of playgrounds that get done. The APRs, we talked about the APRs, and there were some drawings that were being worked on and improved and finalized. Carusi, so there's a lot of work being done at Carusi, as I think we talk about a lot as a board. There's a lot of asbestos at Carusi into asbestos that has been undisturbed so that it's safe. But, once you start to remove it, which it has to be remediated, has to be removed, you have to be done in a very careful way, in a very regulated way. And that's what we're doing. So we're doing that over the summer, and we have to do that in stages. So it's going to take, several years to get that done. And then with that, we also have to start to put in temporary classroom units at Carusi. So we had discussions about where they would be, so they would not disturb the fields and the other use at Carusi. Trying to figure out the best configuration, working closely with the principal on that to ensure that the configurations of the units, the temporary classroom units, are not only that we stay within budget and what we're getting, but they're also going to be the best use for our students, and because those are going to be used during educational instructional time. So that's a little bit down the road to get those in place. Those are not going to happen till in 2020, early 2024. But we're planning ahead now. They touched upon some of the items that have been ordered. We talk about supply chain issues, items that were ordered back in October that are going to be in general for some of these projects are not going to be delivered till March or April, May. So, it's kind of a lot of thought and planning just as every step of the way into all of this. Also talking about at West, HVAC projects that are being completed, and using both ESSER funds and also some of the SDA funds that we received in the fall. And that's actually, those funds are being used because we know that those are exactly the way the SDA, the types of work projects the SDA wants those funds to be used for. So we, again, kind of being very mindful about compliance, about ensuring that we are on track with the monies that are being given to us and the expectation of how they're being spent. Emergency notification systems. There's another piece I think it's important to also just mention regarding the Hart Playground. So the Bret Hart Playground is towards the back of the school. It is approximately 20 feet below the building level. So there's a lot of discussion about accessibility. It's very important that our playgrounds be accessible for the school. And so there's a lot of work on ensuring accessibility from the school to the playground. In order to consider the option to additionally make the playground accessible from the street, which would be more for the community, not for the school, that would add an additional $400,000 to $500,000 to the cost. And it was, I think, wisely determined that didn't make sense. There is another township playground almost next door to the school, which is available for community use. So also, I don't know that the playgrounds are for daytime for our kids' usage. So, having them accessible to other people, easily accessible from the street, I don't know that always makes sense if we don't have to, focus on that. So that was a long discussion as well. But I think, very thoughtful in terms of really putting our energy and our focus and our funding to ensure that our students have proper access to our playgrounds, and making sure that we, that's what we're doing. So I think I hit everything. I hope I hit everything. It was a lot of information, but just want to make sure that everyone's staying updated about the bond project. So it was exciting to hear all the stuff that's coming. We have more roofing projects that are going out for bid. And again, those roofing projects will be done this summer. So. Okay, I think that's it for that piece of correspondence. I guess I should just pause. I don't know if there's it's an unusual thing to ask, but just ask if there are any questions regarding the correspondence about the bond projects. Okay, great. So we will now move along to our student representatives. Are we starting with East? We're starting with West tonight. Okay. So I think we have Emily tonight. Emily's giving the report for West, so take it away.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we have a lot going on at West right now. It's getting to be a really exciting time, especially going into the spring. So yeah, as Mr. Mayor said, we have the DECA state competition going on right now in Atlantic City. I know a lot of West students are there and we wish them the best of luck. African American Culture Club has been promoting diversity and inclusivity by celebrating Black History Month during our lunch and learn periods. And in addition to doing it at West, they also took it to Clara Barton to also promote inclusivity among their peers there. And they were joined by Latinos at West. In terms of athletics, a ton of groups just finished off their seasons. We had both West girls and boys swim and their season a couple weeks ago in the semifinals in the playoffs, and they were awesome all season. West Track also ended their season with their last race in Staten Island, and West Wrestling has a few members who just went to the regional competition from both boys and girls, so we are wishing them the best of luck. West boys basketball also just recently ended their season in the playoffs, and our spring sports are beginning soon, so for students that are interested, you should fill out forms and physicals to the nurse in order to participate. In terms of the arts, we just had Broadway night last Thursday and Friday, the 23rd and 24th. The Thespians always put on a great show. I was there on Thursday, and it was awesome. They also have the Lightning Thief coming up. That will be on March 16th, 17th, 18th, 24th, and 25th, as we saw a short preview by Jill, Alex, Finn, and Nyana. So tickets will be available for students for $10, and for the general public, it will be $15. West also just put on their winter play Puffs. That was on February 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And the Windsor Color Guard just began their season on a Wednesday, January 25th, and rehearsals will be every Wednesday in the band room from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And lots going on within the school. We just had the sophomore cotillion on Saturday, February 25th, and the mill ball for ROTC on February 17th. We also have peer leader applications that were due yesterday, Monday, February 27th. And it is now open to both current sophomores and juniors, which will be a great experience for those rising grades. Those are eligible to apply, and the interviews for that will be held on March 7th and March 8th, Tuesday and Wednesday. And you can contact Mrs. Riley with any questions at driley@clc.org. West will also be holding a junior college night for 11th grade students on Wednesday, March 1st at 7 p.m. in the theater. West Guidance will be explaining the college application process, and many college representatives will be there for meet and greets to meet with parents and students. For more information, you can contact Mrs. Safici at lsafici@chglc.org. We also have the Lions Bingo and Basket Bonanza coming up on Saturday, March 11th at 7 p.m. And all those proceeds for that event will go towards project graduation for seniors at the end of the year. The NHS will be holding a pickleball tournament this coming Monday, March 6th. And half those proceeds will go to the Ronald McDonald House of South Jersey. And lastly, this is more district-wide for the high school level, but NJGPA testing will be taking place for all 11th grade students on March 14th through March 17th. starting at 7:30 a.m., which means 9th, 10th, and 12th grade students will report to school at 9:30. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Emily. Okay, so normally we would have Aiden from East give the report, but Aiden is not here tonight. And in Aiden's absence, we're going to ask Dr. Malash to give the high school East report.
Thank you, Ms. Stern. Hope that Aiden is feeling better. Aiden did send the report in, so I'm pleased to read this for Aiden. First, an athletics update. I would like to congratulate the boys basketball team for an excellent run in this year's playoffs, continuing a strong few years for the program. We should also recognize the boys swim team for its accomplishments in reaching and closely competing in the state final. And finally, the East girls swim team has achieved great success by winning the New Jersey State Championship for the second year in a row. There will be a celebratory parade through the school this Friday. Additionally, girls bowling is having a great year in what our principal called the team's most successful season ever, and East has recently played host to several major events, including a regional wrestling tournament and a county basketball championship. Moving on to extracurricular activities, another set of exciting events has taken place at East in the past month or will be taking place soon. This weekend and next, Cherry Hill East's spring musical will be performed. Tickets are on sale now for Into the Woods, which will be a major production with a full pit orchestra, complex musical numbers, and many students involved. Speaking of musical numbers, this month, East hosted a regional a cappella tournament in which East's own team competed and won to advance to further playoff competitions in March. In other news, students are currently competing in DECA states in Atlantic City, having left yesterday and returning tomorrow. The speech and debate team and the science Olympiad team both recently competed in invitational competitions as well. Additionally, the senior trip is coming up as East seniors will travel to Disney and Universal theme parks from March 16th to 20th. Around the same time, students need to be aware of an important event, NJGPA testing. Juniors will attend school for the normal schedule at 7:30 a.m., at which time they must complete the standardized testing in order to graduate. Other students will come to school at 9:30 a.m. after the juniors' testing is complete. Finally, moving on to policy and student issues, there is one important update. Dr. Perry is working with a small committee of teachers to improve and resolve any issues with our Lunch and Learn program, which has allowed and will continue to allow students to participate in extracurricular activities, receive academic help, and spend time with friends across the school for 1 hour each day. As of now, the program should continue for students as usual this year. That's all for this month. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Malash, in Aiden's absence. Okay, we now move on to our first public. Oh, did it again. Okay, keep skipping ahead. This evening, we have one more report, and that is a video report from our alternative high school. And I'll get a chance to see that.
Hi, my name is Madison. I am in 12th grade at Alternative High School. Student Spotlight for January 2023. Most Improved Growth Mindset, Paul. Most Improved School Participation, Sophia. Student of the Month, Lincoln. Bowling. We have been going to the big event for bowling, the arcade, since we returned from winter break, and will continue through March 2nd. On Thursday afternoon, students and teachers go to the big event to bowl, play in the arcade, treat themselves to lunch. We have almost full school attendance for these trips and look forward to doing this together every week. Holocaust Remembrance Day. We created butterflies in honor of the Holocaust Remembrance Day, January 27th. Two students, Madison and Angelina, interviewed with Dr. Malash to talk about their projects. The butterfly are in honor of the 1.5 million children killed during the Holocaust and are displayed full butterflies in the Lewis Administration Building and is a reminder of courage, justice, remembrance, and hope. The Wake Up Cafe breakfast sandwiches. It's only been 2 full weeks and we the students have made over 40 breakfast sandwiches. We also made French toast sticks, hash browns, and hot chocolate. We want to thank all the people who work in the Lewis Administration Building for being so kind to us and buying our entrees. Artistry Residency with Perkins Center of the Arts. In collaboration with Perkins Center of the Arts, we have a resident artist, Kathy Casper. Kathy is a mosaic artist who is going to help us install a mosaic in our courtyard. We have started designing and making tiles. The design will include AHS East and West mosaics. Philadelphia Magic Gardens trip. On January 30th, we visit the Philadelphia Magic Gardens located on South Street, and it is in an indoor-outdoor multimedia art environment. This is completely covered with mosaics. We were taking on a tour of the work of Isaac Zygar and participated in activities. Some things we are looking forward to in the future. February 1st, Philadelphia Car Show. February 10th, Indian King Tavern and Museum. Artist Residency.
Okay, that was great. Nice to see that report. I do, by the way, last Friday, I got a chance to purchase the dog biscuits that are made by the alternative high school students, and my dog loves them. So going back for more next time I'm around there when they're selling them. Okay, we move on to our first public comment. I jumped the gun earlier. There will be 2 opportunities for public comment this evening. The first public comment section is for board action items only. There will be another public comment section for any topic at the end of the meeting. If you are a student in the district, you may comment on any item, any agenda item during the first public comment period. Please identify yourself as a student if you're going to do so we can make sure to prioritize your comment. And if you are a student and you are online, if you would kindly put an S next to your name so that we know you're a student. When you speak at public comment, we will ask you to identify the agenda item and to clearly state your name and municipality. We will alternate between speakers in the room and those who are online. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. The timer on the screen will indicate the amount of time you have remaining. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the community to comment on matters relevant to the operations of Cherry Hill Public School District or within the authority of the Cherry Hill Board of Education. The board welcomes diverse opinions on relevant matters. Under established federal law governing reasonable restrictions on speech in public forums, statements which demean individual community members or groups or which are irrelevant to the operations of the school district or repetitious will not be permitted. Community members who would like to present information not relevant to the school district are always welcome to communicate directly to the district superintendent, board president, and all board members via email or other alternative means. Okay, and that starts our first public comment period. And I will looks like I'm going to look online. I don't see anybody in the room. I don't see anybody online, and I will then close first public comment, and we'll move on to our superintendent's comments. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Malash.
Thank you, Ms. Stern. So today's February 28th. Tomorrow is March 1st. We are traveling into, there's about 3.5 months of school left at this point in the year. In January, we talked about the end of the semester. We're about halfway done. The month of February has gone by very, very quickly. It was great to hear the student reports. Thank you, Aiden, for sending in the information. It was my pleasure to be able to read that for you. Emily, thank you for your information, sharing what's going on at High School West. And it's always great to hear from the students at the Alternative High School program about what's taking place within their program. I do encourage you all to go out and get tickets, go this weekend or next to see Into the Woods. It's an incredible show. The entire show is sung. There's no part of the show that isn't sung. To go through the students and the directors, the adults that have worked with them have done an incredible job to prepare the show. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief opens up in 2 weeks at High School West. So you have time to go see Into the Woods and then go to see Percy Jackson. The middle school shows are coming up soon as well. Again, follow along on the calendar on the district website and the school websites. See our thespians at each of the different levels. It is a great investment of your time and energy to see what a great job the children put together each year. I also want to highlight the program that took place last night at High School West. One of our culminating activities for Black History Month, the work that Dr. Morton and Ms. Staffen from our curriculum office did, working with Maryland Public Television to be able to prepare and then put together the videos and to show the videos of Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass. I'm also thrilled that Dr. Morton and Ms. Staffen worked out that all of the students in our African American Studies classes will also see the videos. The Maryland Public Television has provided them for us to be able to share with the students. And Valerie Still, who is a graduate of Cherry Hill High School East and a direct descendant of William Still, did such an incredible job of speaking, talking about her story, her background, her current status, who she is and what she does. But just amazing to see such a world-renowned figure, honestly, in the auditorium at High School West speaking to everyone. Had the opportunity to rekindle a relationship with her, and we'll have her back. She'll be back in district to meet with our students and to meet with others. But it was great for Ms. Still to be out last evening and for what she was able to provide. There is a little bit of winter sports that are left. We do have boys and girls who are participating in the state wrestling finals this weekend in Atlantic City. We have 2 female students, one from East and one from West, who are favored to win state championships. Maya Himo from High School East is expected to repeat as state champion this year. So I'm very excited about an opportunity to watch, both of those young ladies wrestle during the course of the year. And we also have wrestlers from the boys team from both East and West who will be competing in Atlantic City this weekend as well. So stay tuned as we see that. Congratulations to the East girls swim team who won the state championship on Saturday. Great effort by the boys swim team from East who finished second at the state championship on Sunday. So some tremendous work. We're in the midst of doing course selection at the secondary schools for 8th graders who are rising to be 9th graders and for our current students who are 9th through 11th graders. So we're always excited to see what the course selection looks like. Dr. Morton will be meeting with the staff from the 2 high schools in April to finalize the number of sections. And from there, we'll build the master schedules. But this is always an exciting time of year. Not only is Ms. Sugars and her team, are they in the throes of the budget? So we look forward to getting the state aid numbers on Thursday. And we start planning and talking about next year, but we do the same thing with classes, with activities. So it's excitement as we finish strong in 2022, 2023 and prepare for 2023, 24.
Thank you so much for those comments. Okay. And now we're going to move on to our action agenda. We start with curriculum and instruction. Mrs. Winters, could you please move the CNI agenda?
Sure, thanks. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following. 13.1, approval of attendance at conference and workshops for the 2022-23 school year. 13.2, approval of out-of-district student placement for 22-23 school year. And 13.3, first reading of policies. Is there a second? Dr. Root, are there any questions? Ms. Gallagher.
So I have a couple questions about the conferences. So last week, it was mentioned that many conferences are required by the state, and I was curious if these 2 conferences were required by the state. I don't know if anybody can answer.
I do not know the answer to that question, but I'd love some help.
They are not.
Okay. And then I was curious, just kind of like considering that there are many conferences that are required by the state, but I mean, it's pretty common that most of the conferences are during school hours. And I've wondered if conferences were ever provided at like, I always want to say non-business hours. I mean, for better terms, just because considering the difficulty in finding substitute teachers and then just the disruption for students to have to like, have substitutes here and there for conferences. I was just curious if the district has ever considered non-school hour conferences or has ever pushed back on the state regarding those things.
Good question. So there are not a lot that are offered outside of what would be a regular school day. There are some that are offered outside of the school day. None of the folks that are listed on tonight's agenda are classroom teachers and have direct responsibility for an individual class at this time. And you can see that, there are 4 people. Those are our math coaches who are attending one conference, and then 2 administrators who are attending the Women's Leadership Conference.
And then the last question I have is, can you explain the Title II-A funding for the first educational resources? What does that mean exactly?
Dr. Mahan, will you just go through what that is?
Yes, so the only other thing that I want to add to what Dr. Malash mentioned is that the conference, the First Educational Resources Instructional Coaching Summit, speaks directly to mathematics achievement, which is one of the board's goals. So we are sending all of our math coaches so that they can continue to support teachers in implementation of our math program, as well as content and pedagogy.
Okay.
In regards to Title II is state funding that we receive, which supports professional development for teachers and principals. It allows us to bring in presenters into the district to send individuals out to conferences, also to provide in-house professional development. One of the main things that we fund through Title I is our flex options, which are Title II, which is professional development opportunities that are created by teachers in district and presented to teachers in district. So teachers are able to self-select into topics of their choice.
So just to confirm, I know like money is kind of put into buckets essentially within the district. So essentially the registration am I reading it correctly that the money is coming from Title II-A funding? So it's money that's allocated for these types of conferences and trainings and whatnot.
That's specifically what the grant is for.
Okay, just confirming.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Ms. Elmore Stratton.
Ms. Winters, I just wanted to add to what Dr. Mahan and for Mrs. Gallagher as well. Many of the conferences are virtual also, is right? Like we're still doing that. So I'm sure if there's a emergency, we can pull somebody if need be, because most of the things that we've been voting on have been things for them to do online as well, just to add there. So.
Dr. Malash, if I could just piggyback on what Mrs. Elmore Stratton just said, based on the fact that we do have a substitute shortage, not only in Cherry Hill, but across the state, we make sure that teachers are aware if they are participating in a professional development session and we are unable to secure a substitute, unfortunately, we do have to cancel and they have to remain in the classroom, which is very unfortunate at this time, but we prioritize having a classroom teacher in the classroom with our students.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Ms. Sugars, can you call the vote?
Okay, board members, you may cast your votes. If you have a single item abstention or no vote, please let me know. And we have unanimous yes vote.
Okay, and now we move on to business and facilities. Mr. Mayor, could you please move the BNF agenda?
I will indeed. Superintendent recommends, and I move the following: 14.1 approval of minutes for January 3rd, 2023. 14.2 approval of minutes for January 10th, 2023. 14.3 approval of minutes for January 24th, 2023. 14.4 financial reports. 14.5 resolution for the award of bids. 14.6 resolution for the award of transportation. 14.7 first reading of policies, and 14.8 acceptance of donations. Is there a second? Mrs. Stern. President Stern. Are there any questions? Madam President Stern. Very stern, Madam President Stern. Are there any questions? Yes, Mrs. Gallagher.
So just a quick question. So one, have we ever used this company before that we're approving the bid on for the bid, what is it? EDA contractors for the bond referendum project?
I'm going to defer, as I do to all detailed questions financial related, to Mrs. Sugars.
We, as a district, have not directly worked with them, but our architect has worked with them in the
Okay.
past.
And then secondly, I know it's been discussed, but I was wondering if now that like the minutia of the bond work is starting to happen, if more information will be put up for like on the Cherry Hill Tomorrow website, just so we know like, you know, what's being bid, like just before and after pictures, just so the community can follow along what's going on.
Yes, we are working on that. We had a discussion with Dr. Malash today about that, and we will be working on getting that information up and running.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars, would you kindly open the voting?
Okay, board members, you may cast your votes.
Mrs. Sugars, I need to abstain from Jewish Federation on Bill List 4 to avoid a conflict of interest.
Yes.
I need to abstain, I think, and because I think I'm not sure, I'm going to, on 14.8 for conflict of interest as well.
Mrs. Sugar, I need to abstain from 14.2.
The Sugars are also meant to abstain from 14.2 also, sorry.
Okay, other than the exceptions noted, we have a unanimous yes vote.
Okay, we now move on to Human Resources, and Ms. Elmer Stratton, can you move the HR agenda, please?
Sure. As soon as Ms. Fleischer puts up the cheat sheet of words. Okay, there we go. Superintendent recommends, and I move the following. 15.1 termination of employment certificated. 15.2 termination of employment non-certificated. 50.3 appointment certificated. 15.4 appointments non-certificated. 15.5 leaves of absence certificated. 15.6 leave of absence non-certificated. 15.7 assignment salary change non-certificated. 15.8 other compensation certificated, and just it to approve. Do I have a second? Mr. Mayor, any questions? Okay, Mrs. Sugars, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, board members, you may cast your votes. We have a unanimous yes vote.
Okay, and we now move on to policy and legislation. Mrs. Fleischer, can you please move the P&L agenda?
Sure. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following. 16.1, approval of harassment, intimidation, bullying, investigation decisions. 16.2, reading of first policies. P5200, attendance. P8140, student enrollments. P8330, student records. And 16.3, the abolishment of policies. P1648.11, the road forward COVID-19 health and safety. P 1648.13, school employee vaccination requirements. Do I have a second? Mr. Greenbaum? Any questions? Yes, Mrs.
Sorry, just look at me. So just regarding the abolishment of the road forward, a friend, a neighbor of mine asked me this and I couldn't answer the question, so I thought I would bring it up. So does the abolishment also take away the quarantine and masking rules after, I don't know if that aligns with more of like CDC state guidelines or what. So I didn't know how to answer, so I thought I would ask Kara.
Good question. Jumu, if Mrs. Wellington, would you be able to help answer that? Thank you.
Yes, so the masking rules, we still follow CDC guidelines and State Department of Health guidelines.
Thank you, Mrs. Wellington. Any further questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars, could you open up the voting, please? Mrs. Sugars, I need to abstain from 16.1, please.
Ms. Sugars, I need to abstain from 16.1, please.
Okay, other than the exceptions noted, we have a unanimous yes vote.
Okay, thank you. And the next item would be strategic planning, but there are no items for action this evening under strategic planning. So now we go on to new business. Is there any new business to discuss this evening, board members? Okay, now we move on to old business. Is there any old business to discuss this evening, board members? Okay, that was quick. Okay, now we have gotten to our second public comment period. This is the second public comment section during which you may comment on a topic. The public comment is an opportunity for members of the community to comment on matters relevant to the operations of Cherry Hill Public School District or within the authority of the Cherry Hill Board of Education. The board welcomes diverse opinions on relevant matters. Under established federal law governing reasonable restrictions on speech in public forums, statements which demean individual community members or groups or which are irrelevant to the operations of the school district or repetitive will not be permitted. Community members who would like to present information not relevant to the school district are always welcome to communicate directly to the district superintendent, board president, and all board members via email or other alternative means. If you would like to make a public comment, please speak clearly, state your name and your municipality. We will alternate between speakers here in the room and those who are online. If you are a student, kindly put an S after your name so that we know you are a student to make sure to prioritize your opportunity to speak or come to the podium if you're a student. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. The timer on the screen will indicate the amount of time you have remaining. Okay, and we have our first public comment at the podium. Please approach. Okay.
Good evening, Dave Kuzmanich, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I have been called many things in my 54 years: loud, fat, conspiracy theorist, victim, but very rarely have I been told I'm right, at least out loud. I can't speak for the parents here in the room or participating online. It's been said in other meetings that you, the board, are here to conduct business, and we're the audience here to not interact with you during that business. I don't think any of you really care about or fully listen during public comments, portions of the night until 2 weeks ago. And that was obviously stated tonight. This was proven 2 weeks ago when you shut down Dr. Panina Mintz with just about a minute left in her 3 minutes of public comment. Dr. Mintz didn't violate any of those so-called rules of that night, reading the beginning of the public comment portion of the night. She didn't even use profanity, use offensive name calling, and she didn't raise her voice, but yet you shut her down with a minute left. You violated her civil rights by not allowing her to finish speaking in a public forum. This happened to my son just in the past couple of weeks, after I took the video of what happened on the school bus to the guidance counselor and the vice principal of the school. My son was told multiple times to stop videotaping on the school bus and catching these kids bullying him. I could not find this rule on the rules page for the school bus, yet there are cameras already on the bus. I don't know if they record audio and don't know if they catch all the video. He was then told he needed to stop recording because they had all the evidence needed for his HIB investigation. It was cut and dry, he was told. Told this by the school psychologist, which is interesting. By telling him to stop recording, they are also violating his civil rights. In this particular meeting, he was told to write down in his own handwriting of what was discussed in that meeting and to sign that document that he just wrote. So my son signed the document without a parent reading it, without a parent knowing about it until he got home that night. My son signed a document at 12 years old, not knowing what it exactly meant. To this day, I still haven't seen this document. With the actions in the last 2 weeks, from the school board to the middle school that my son goes to, it shows the district does not care about the students or parents' civil rights. Thank you.
Okay. And we go on to, on the line, Jessica Fingerman.
Hi there, Jessica Fingerman, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Hope you guys are all doing well. I had emailed you all, I want to say maybe about a week ago or so, but I haven't received a response yet. So I just wanted to reiterate some of those concerns here in public comment. So what I've noticed is in the school that my younger child attends, in elementary school, Bret Hart, she, the class that she is in has 50% of the students receiving ELL services, which is wonderful. I think it's a wonderful thing for her to learn about different cultures and learn from children from all over the world. Anna also had a similar class, similar composition of class in her kindergarten year. However, in that year, the ELL teacher was functioned as a co-teacher and was there for the entirety of instruction. Now, this year, the amount of instruction is only 40 minutes for the push and support for the English language learners of the class. And I don't see that being an effective model. I can only imagine how difficult that must be for children who are learning English, who are new to the country, to sit there and not really understand what's going on in the classroom, and only having 40 minutes of ELL instruction. I think that we could do better. I think that we have done better. As I said, in the previous year that she was in school, that was more of a co-taught model, and I think that that was much more effective for both the students who spoke English fluently and for the students who are learning English. So I'd like to see an increase in support in that model. I think that's important and necessary. The second thing that I also emailed about was EAs. So right now at Bret Hart, and I think throughout the district, there are 2 EAs that rotate amongst 3 sections. And so that means that one section throughout the day does not have an EA. The other thing that concerns me about that is that the EAs also don't follow the students when they go to specials. Now, if a student requires assistance in the classroom, it also makes sense that they would require assistance in music or art or SSI or world language. So I understand that staffing is an issue. Believe me, I understand. But this needs to be rectified. If that means that wages need to be increased, if there needs to be a sidebar agreement.
Thank you, Ms. Fingerman. I'm sorry, your 3 minutes are up. Thank you. Okay. And I'm going to closed public comment. And we'll move on to superintendent's comments. Mr. Green, we still have people who are wanting public comment there. I was too quick. They were not at the podium, but if you're, feel free, this is your turn. You state your name and your municipality.
Harvey Vasquez, Cherry Hill Township. 2 weeks ago, I pleaded to this board as an advocating parent to help us in getting our disabled son in school. 2 weeks have passed and he still remains at home. Today, I come to you as an activist for my son and those who may not have a voice in this community due to the school district efforts in silencing them. I know the school district may think we as parents are micromanaging their efforts or being difficult. How do we know, you may ask? Meet with us, and I'll tell you. I want you to understand there is a difference in micromanaging and taking the correct steps and implementing a plan or the ask of the advocating parents. The difference is being proactive and becoming efficient in doing your jobs rather than parents pointing out on what should be done. There is much more that I could share in this public setting. However, I challenge this Board of Education to meet with us in a closed meeting. Meet with us in a closed hearing to evaluate the decisions that have been made thus far by the people you have leading this school district as it pertains to our case. Unlike others in this community, I have no non-disclosure agreement in place. And if it takes for me to expose the injustices the school district has committed with our son publicly, that is exactly what we will do as parents. And by the way, NDAs, let's talk about that. Seems to be a standard operating procedure in this township. Take a look around your surrounding communities. NDAs are not used as bargaining chip, if used at all. We have spent the last 10 months quietly advocating for our son through way of legal representation, but even that seems to make no difference. The school district would rather fight the parents tooth and nail while spending our tax dollars than sit down with them and figure out how to best approach their concerns. I am a retired Army combat vet and continue to serve my country, albeit in a different capacity. My two oldest sons, both who are Cherry Hill East graduates, have also followed in my steps to serve this great country of ours. One thing I learned while serving was to always pay attention to details. The proof is in the pudding, as they may say. My point is, don't think for a minute that our cries to the school district has come without us documenting our struggles since it all started, because it's all right here. This is only about 40%. I ask that you please do the right thing and address those in charge of our children on how they conduct their business with our special education community. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your service. Okay, we go to the line. Amanda Greenstein.
I want to speak tonight as a special ed parent also.
Sorry, could you please say your name and municipality for the record?
Amanda Greenstein, Cherry Hill. I want to speak tonight after this week and seeing in my own neighborhood as I come in and out, Dylan's mother so graciously protesting for her son in 2019, 2020, before the 2019-2020 school year, as I was a private school kindergarten parent with a general ed child, I joined Facebook groups to get myself acclimated with the Cherry Hill School District as a parent and no longer as a student. And the one thing I kept seeing and hearing was that Cherry Hill liked to pretend we don't have a special ed problem. And I thought these moms were being a little bit of drama queens. Fast forward to 2021, and I am now a special ed mom with my younger son. My 2 years at Barkley were an absolute nightmare, to the point where I didn't know how I was going to make it. My son is thankfully now at Kingston, where the teachers, the principal, the administration cannot be better. But being a PTA board member in and out of that school and seeing that they need help throughout the school with, as Jessica Fingerman said, EAs, but that the special ed teachers are literally drowning. They don't have coverage for IEP meetings. And the fact that special ed is so low on the list for the administration and the board is heartbreaking to me. To see what that family, Dylan's family, is going through is heartbreaking to me. We must do better for all of our children, but especially for our special ed population. They account for a large percentage of the school district. They are all amazing. They all bring something to the school district. And the resources, if we can't expect resources to be given to our regular students and our buildings, you guys aren't equipped to deal with some of the special ed students here. And it's sickening, and something needs to change. We entrusted you with a $300 million bond. We need you guys to step up. Stop talking in your Board of Ed meetings and patting each other on the back. Oh, you went to this. Oh, you went to that. Stop. None of you, I feel, should be on this board because none of you are up to the challenge. But something needs to be done for this family and for all the special ed families in this school. And you should all have an open public forum with the special ed families. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go back to the room. Approaching the podium.
Jim Neary, Cherry Hill. My son wore this hat for what I thought would be the last time about a year ago. A group of boys who had been bullying him about his various tics and mannerisms since the beginning of the year called him the R word. That was one of the catalysts of bullying that lasted all year for my son. Enter several HIBs, several meetings with administration, many emails, many appeal hearings. He was verbally bullied by students for his differences. He was threatened. He couldn't even use the bathroom and feel safe at a point at school. And this was not just from other students. His differences were called out publicly in front of his peers by staff members. He was victim blamed and told he was misperceiving things because of his special needs when he spoke to the student assistance counselor. We asked for accountability for the building administrators who were turning a blind eye and victim blaming and inadequately addressing the situations. We asked you, the Board of Education, to hold the superintendent accountable for violations of district policy and New Jersey statute. To our understanding, he was never held accountable. The principal was never held accountable for these instances. Nothing was done. You just had your HIB training last week. You had slides about these violations in them. All of which we just received platitudes. It would be handled internally and no actions were taken. It took my son almost a year to bounce back from what wearing this hat started. I won't lie, I feared every night we would lose him. He pleaded not to go to school. We feared we were going to lose him for good, and that is every parent's worst fear. At the time of speaking out, we looked to fix a broken system, but we have seen no real change. Cherry Hill Public School District is currently under investigation by the Federal Office of Civil Rights for their inaction and unacceptable response to the way they addressed the issues with my son. As we speak, another set of parents in Cherry Hill are out there living my worst nightmare. Their child will never get to put their favorite hat back on. When is enough enough? And when will you give accountability?
Okay. Thank you. And now we go on to the line. And Mindy, if you could kindly state your name and your municipality.
Hi, Mindy Rosen at Cherry Hill. I have a whole speech prepared about the Malberg Playground project, but I'm sitting here listening to Harvey and Amanda and Jim and Jessica and Dave, and I just am so sad. I am so sad that this is what I've lived in my life, and now it's happening. It's unbelievable. And I do want to read one thing because of what you said in the beginning, Miriam. NJSA 10-4-12, under the Open Public Meetings Act, boards are allowed to decide the length of a comment period. Boards should tread carefully, however, in placing further restrictions on speech during public comment period to avoid violations of the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Now, my speech. Factual information and transparency are key to communication. Unfortunately, at last month's board meeting, This did not happen concerning the Malberg Playground project. Miriam Stern, board president, spoke to her 2 years on the board and all of the ADA things she learned. Quote, I feel like this vault of information for 2 years. We need to get rid of mulch, which is not ADA accessible. Both Lynn Sugars and Paul Green allowed this statement and did not correct this inaccuracy. The fact is that mulch is indeed ADA compliant under playground equipment. Mrs. Sugars compounded this misinformation by saying that we would be saving money because mulch gets removed and cleaned and refilled. Yes, mulch needs to be raked and more mulch added to comply with depth requirement, but this can be done with our own landscaping people. What she did not tell you is the surface chosen, poured rubber for the playground at Malberg, costs over $10 a square foot more and can only be fixed by a trained installer. Also not transparent is that cracking and flaking of the top layer of this rubber can lead to divots which result in non-compliance. Another thing that should be disclosed is that there is a significant cost for drainage using rubber matting. I am not advocating for which material you decide to use for this playground. What I am advocating for is truth and transparency. Also, do you all know that the front sidewalk at Malberg is not ADA compliant as there is no curb cut? 30 years after ADA at a school for students with special needs and there is no curb cut, how welcoming. I have more to say, but my time is up. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we go back to the room. And if you'd like to speak, please approach the podium so that I don't inadvertently close public comment too early. So please go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Fred Astman. I'm in the Old Orchard section. First, just sort of a side comment. It's been many years since my children have been here through the school system. The first meeting I've attended here for a long time. I'm finding it very difficult to understand many of you. I know we have a PA system and I'm not sure how much of it is the PA system or the speaking voice, but I would suggest that each of you pay a little bit more attention to your diction and your clarity because it's very difficult for us to understand some of what is being said. My main concern is budgetary. I don't know how much of the budget is non-school related, but the Cherry Hill mayor takes a lot of points for pointing out that it's been many years that there has been no increase in municipal taxes here. The taxes increases that we're seeing, of course, is coming through the Board of Education. And what's curious is that if they are able to maintain their budgets without increases over the last 10 or however many years that's gone on, they face the same things that you do in terms of inflation and food and fuel and construction and manpower and everything else. So if they can do it and hold their costs, I'm wondering why the school board can't, because you face the same things that they do. So that's my main concern is budgetary. And I would like someday to attend a meeting and hear something about White History Month. Thank you.
Okay. And we move on, looking online. Don't see any hands online. We go back to the podium.
Rick Short, 1002 Charlton Parkway. Mrs. Fleischer, I'd like to thank you for your work with the drugs. Let me note that I've talked to several students and they have no idea what Narcan kits are or what they do. So we have Narcan kits in all our schools and we don't know how they work or what they do. That makes absolutely no sense. First up, tonight I stand before you the worst night in the school board's history that I've ever been. What is the money you're investing in? What is the time you're spending on? Millions of dollars in DEI and SEL, social emotional learning. What did that social emotional learning do for us? Nothing. What do we have? We have 1 in 2 children that failed the state test. We have 1 in 3 that can't fail the state test. And what are we going to do? We're going to fly off to Chicago and our administrators are going to brag about how excellent our schools are. That is a disgrace for our name and for our town. That is despicable. They are going there they're not going there to learn, they're going there to speak. They are representing us. And you call that academic excellence? This is a joke, ladies and gentlemen. And what's further is a joke is the Dillon story. The Dillon story is also a joke. Madam President, you stood here like 3 years ago and you told everyone, please help the ADA, please help us, please help us. What happened? Dr. Malash separated all of them in a power move. Where are we at? We're worse today than we were before. This is not acceptable. The buck stops at this man right here, Dr. Malash. He needs to be removed. He is the problem with the district. He's been here 7 years. He has to go. And he stands there with a little smirk. Fine, sir. You need to go. Now, let's continue on. Misinformation. Let's see. July 28th, you, the school district, posted that you were spending money on this. July 6th, you voted on this. So that's called misinformation, which could lead to fraud. Let's continue on for what our superintendent does. What does he do? He has these town halls. Oh, these big propaganda town halls. Well, look at the kids. 40% of the kids sit there like this in the town hall with zero interest. And look at the smirk on Mr. Malash's face as well. It's pretty unbelievable because he doesn't listen to the kids. He doesn't listen to the public. Thank you.
Okay. And we move along to Ann Einhorn. If you could say your name and municipality.
And I'm in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I'm not quite sure how to say what I want to say. I'm just going to say a couple of things. This district needs to start following the very HIB policies that they have in place, period. Every child not only needs a great and good learning environment, they also need to feel safe and protected. At the ripe old age of 69, I can tell you that bullying in 3rd grade by Danny Davis and Michael Doyle have never left me. It seems to be a district-wide problem. It actually seems to be intensifying in the fact, and I am not on the other side of the table, that the rules and very regulations and policies that this district has in place is not being followed or enforced. We can't afford it with our children, and we can't blame COVID anymore. Bullying has been around for centuries. It seems to have intensified. And there was also spillover into our community, as evidenced by certain facts and figures from the Ellsberg Circle and intimidating teenagers, threatening and running in front of cars. So it's bullying of all ages and all types. But if we do anything at all, we need to follow the very HIB policies that are in place. And quite frankly, we seem to be failing in that area, not we, the district. The special ed community has come to you time and time again. It is heartbreaking to hear the story about Mr. Neary's children, but unfortunately it's a sad reality and a fact. I know that's all confidential, but we're not doing something right. There's just too many complaints. And I would hope that the board and our local administration, district administration, listen. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to approach the podium. If you please say your name and municipality. Thank you.
Jaden Roldan, Cherry Hill East. I will be speaking on behalf of my mom, or it would be too emotionally overwhelming for her to speak for her on her own. We did not take the risk of being here today for nothing. We did it for our son, our community, and all of our children in the special education program. So today I am allowing you an opportunity to know our story. I am very transparent and a woman of my word. I have nothing to hide. So tonight I plead with you to take a moment and make time to sit with us. Let us shed some light on the district slogan, there are always two sides to the story. You have our number and you know where we live. Call us. We have had to deal with harassing late evening emails on weekday and weekend nights, Sunday to be specific, when as parents we are trying to put a long week's battle behind us, even if it's just for a few hours. I say trying because we know all too well that it is on a Sunday night that the anxiety and migraines begin, knowing the battles that we have to pick up the very next day. Also, the school district leadership needs to stop sending truancy officers as a tool for intimidation. Our oldest son, who graduated from Cherry Hill East, is now serving our country with the U.S. Coast Guard, who had 2 years straight with perfect attendance at Russell Knight Elementary. So before you send another truancy to our home, think twice, especially for our son Dylan, because the last visit did not go well for him. As you very well know, pre-K is not mandatory in the state of New Jersey, but yet we received a visit from your truancy officer. That was step one of the school district's intimidation plan. However, it has been 10 months for what is in fact mandatory schooling for Dylan, and thus far, no visit from your truancy officer. I wonder why. I would love for DIFUS and IAIU to know our story. And as for your NDAs, our family will never sign off our son's rights to services. So let your attorneys know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we go to the line, Panina Mintz.
Dr. Panina Mintz, Cherry Hill. I'd like to address the extreme failures, academic failures of Cherry Hill schools. I'd like the board to hold the leadership of the school accountable, administrators, superintendent, and down the line for failing to educate our kids in basic reading, basic math, and basic writing. In the name of justice, since you know the word justice so well, I'd like to advocate for the justice of academics and the education of over 10,000 students in Cherry Hill, to do justice so they can know how to read, to do justice so they can know math, do justice so they can know how to write. Without those basics, then you are stealing their ability to have a full life. You are stealing their ability to think properly if they don't have the words, if they don't know the words, okay? So please hold accountable the superintendent, the assistant superintendents that have been negligent for the last umpteen years, 7 at least, of educating our kids proper academics. And beyond that, with the word justice, how about justice for our special needs community? Where is the justice for that? How about the justice for our teachers that have to sit through over and over trainings on political ideologies instead of teaching them how to teach math and reading and writing? The amount of psychological warfare that you are putting on the teachers and on the students in Cherry Hill is amplifying the anxiety of closing the schools for the past 2 years. And you're seeing more and more families under stress. So I'm asking you to hold the school accountable and not reward failure. Your deeds are speaking louder than your words. So you can say very nice words and congratulate each other and congratulate so many people, but actions speak louder than words. And your actions are telling the community that you do not care. You do not care about students' academics. You do not care about excellence. And you do not care about our special needs community. So please act. The Board of Ed, you were supposed to take oath to be fiduciary relationship to the public, and you are neglecting your oath to office. Thank you.
Okay, we move on to the room. I don't see anybody at the podium. There are no hands online. I will close public comment at this time. And now we move on to superintendent's comments.
Thank you, Ms. Stern. I really do not have a lot based on the comments from this evening. Other than I'd be happy to have a discussion with you, sir, about the budget, if you reach out or provide your contact information. I can tell you, we don't need a white history month because history has been taught and whitewashed from a white perspective for hundreds of years. But I'd be happy to have a discussion with you about the budget. Ms. Roldan and Mr. Vasquez, I know that there is a meeting that is scheduled, I believe, in the morning. I'm optimistic that that will continue to go well. I know there's been ongoing conversations. If you want to come in and meet, we can certainly sit down, have a conversation. That we can talk about process and what that looks like, but always available if you all want to come in and meet. I think that is all of them.
Okay, thank you. And we will now make a motion. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second? Okay, Dr. Rude wants to go to the gym, maybe? All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion passes. Meeting is adjourned.